What would you say is the worst deal that you almost did, and why did you walk away?
Wow, that's a good one. I love that. That's two come to mind. So there's one deal we had on a contract early 2025. It was a pretty good sized mobile home park in the south of South Carolina, close to the coast. Not going to say the city yet because I don't want to expose anybody. But on paper, it looked amazing. The financials looked great, but they were all like on spreadsheets. There was none a data from Rent Manager, Buildium, AppFolio, you name it. There was something that was like manually put together. And I was like, nah, mom and pop operator. Clearly, we talked to the sellers, they're mom and pop. So they have their own spreadsheet created. Don't fault them for it. That's how they did it. Great. And the income was like 400 and something $1,000 a year was the income, right? At that point. So, okay, great. We looked at it. And like for the purchase price we had on a contract for, I was like, man, this is a 15 cap. That's wild. That's so good. And then we were like, okay, yeah, it's a smaller market. So it's, a 15 cap. We want to have a good cap rate on this, like entry cap rate, because it's a higher risk, smaller market. So it's closer to a bigger metro, like a secondary market, but still smaller. So we want to have a higher cap rate here. But the more we ask questions, the more we realize something is wrong with those financials that we've gotten. Bank statements were unusable because they commingled their income with their personal bank account. Everything wasn't a personal bank account, really. And then everything was cash deposits from the tenants because the tenants paid them cash. So nothing was traceable, which is a red flag to really know what you're doing if you want to buy these parks that operate that way, that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, because there might be some unraveling happening in the beginning, a lot of turnover, because usually there's a reason why it's all cash. And very bad habits, so maybe people that only want to do cash, they have no bank accounts for some reason, whatever. But the more questions we asked, we realized the income was actually half of what it really was on the financial statements. Because in some conversation there we're talking about, I was asking about evictions, and then I got a stack of papers like this big, and she said, oh, those are the evictions from the last 12 months. And I don't know how many there were. I didn't count them, but the stack of paper was big. They had constant evictions, like 20, 30 a month. It was wild. And then we were about to go out from her office, at an office trailer, and they said, yeah, please don't tell tenants that we're selling, because we are hinging on our life hinges on this mobile home park with $200,000 of income coming in every year. And I was like, say that again. And then she said, yes, $200,000 income. I was like, okay, gotcha. I kept going. And I talked to Tim. I was like, it's supposed to be 400,000, not 200,000. And then we looked a little more deeper and deeper and realized, okay, something's wrong here. And then we asked questions later. They were like, oh, yeah, sorry, the utility income we charge it back, it's not on top. It's actually in the lot rent. And, the lot rent, there was like home rent on top of it, but it's actually included in the lot rent. So everybody just pays 500, 800. So like they were just making excuses to come up, reconcile to the number of 200,000 now. We're like, you know what, this point is a 6 cap deal, which is way too low for, this kind of property in this location. So we backed out. So that was a wild one. We got out plenty of time. I mean, we had weeks left on DD, but I was surprised that like there was a brokerage behind it, which wasn't a small one, that they didn't catch up on that they actually just like took that on without vetting it themselves. I'm not sure where that thing went. I think it went off market. I think they didn't even sell it, but this is one of those things where we backed out really, really quickly. And it was it's a good learning lesson too. You know where to look in the future.